I have to ask myself in reflection, based on a couple days ago with my first viewing of Death on the Nile, why did it take me so long to, again, humor one of Kenneth Branagh's works in the Agatha Christie adaptation space? Because I loved Murder on the Orient Express. And Death on the Nile was such a wonderful reminder of why I found these movies just so intoxicating in their beauty. Not just on presentation, which is exquisite, and it really felt like an Egypt tour. I mean, the movie, to be honest, was not entirely perfect, but I feel the advantages do overshadow some of its minor problems. The casting generally as well, and performances, everybody worked for me. I mean, I felt Death on the Nile really delivered. I don't know how much of a fair shake it got. I remember it got decent critical regard from what I saw, but generally the film was admirable. Beautiful experience to humor, and again reminded me a lot of Murder on the Orient Express and why I love that film so much. I've always said not perfect. Pacing wise, these films still take a lot of time to develop, which I enjoy slower movies, but sometimes you're like, come on, let's get moving here. And maybe that's part of its flair, I don't know. It does feel very European when you watch it. And I mean, this one certainly does. We're about to humor in a minute, but there's also an argument to be made for preserving when you're dealing with adaptations, and you have to understand, right, and acknowledge that there will be some liberty exercised between different translations, because there are understood changes and transformations. But there's an argument to be made about preserving the authenticity of the original work, and I do feel that without spoilers, because I know maybe not everybody's watched it, Death on the Nile, there are some elements that are either that could have been, I would say, better reined in on declaration to marry it to a more historical tone and palette, and there were some unnecessary revisions that feel incredibly modern, and you're like, why are we going there? Anyway, it was fine the first way Agatha Christie wrote it, even though I've never read a book. I did look up to check, like, what changes did they make? Were those all necessary? Anyway, not really in my opinion, but generally speaking, the film was an enjoyable treat, much like its predecessor was. So a third entry, which I was surprised by when the trailer got announced, I'm like, this Haunting in Venice film sounds great, until I looked at a deeper level. I'm like, wait a minute, this is attached to the same storyline as those. It's based on another Agatha Christie book, and this is directed by Kenneth Branagh, of him, bringing his mustache back into prominence again. It's funny. I like the Hercule character, and I do feel the construction and the pitch to her mysteries are quite effective. I've liked engaging with them, and something of a more gothic presence is enticing. Though again, an argument to be made for not necessarily revising. I did some brief research for The Haunting in Venice, and this is based, I believe, on the Halloween novel from memory, or what I saw. I like the historical direction that we're associating this to, I don't know how near after, but after the conclusion of World War II in Italy. It's going to be so scenic in that respect. I love Italian fare. Italy is a beautiful country, especially in Venice. And this is centered around, I guess, let me look at the synopsis here really fast. It's centered around a mystery of murder, of course, involved with a seance. I mean, as far as I'm aware, that's not the original invention of the story as Agatha Christie imagined it, and this is a bit of a reinvention, which certainly feels like it fits along the horror space. I like that vibe, I'll say that, even though with a seance, I'm like, well, I'm coming from a Christian perspective, so I'm kind of like, I'm not really wanting to humor maybe how far this will go, we'll see. And again, like I said, preserving authenticity, if you're going to reinvent it, it kind of feels a bit disrespectful, just slightly, but maybe that's just more so the establishment of the plot. Besides the visualization, at least the horror tone with the gothic energy, the cast on this, love these names. Jude Hill, I've seen him in a couple of her pictures before in previous regard. And there's more names maybe that I'm mentioning that I haven't entertained yet. Tina Fey, Jamie Dornan, Kenneth Branagh, of course, Michelle Yeoh, and Kelly Riley, who I love as an actress. I can't wait to see her, especially. And they give the credit in this case, Michelle Yeoh, Oscar winner. Congratulations to her. I'm excited to humor it. Let's take a look, though. Again, now that I found it, this is continuing on. We have our third entry. Is there going to be a fourth? Maybe this will be the conclusion. I don't know, like go out with a bang and make a historical horror film in tone. Let's see. Again, I like the direction of this, at least from the sounds of it, on the implication and the poster. Let's see what the trailer looks like. Even though, again, the seance element still gives me a bit pause, but okay. Let's humor what it looks like. Again, I've enjoyed the first two entries generally.
Everyone who
like I said, beautiful realization.
Tragedy.
Okay, here we go.
Like her daughter a year ago.
My daughter was my whole life. To hear her voice again, I would give all I have.
If someone wants to be heard,
It is supposed to be a great reminder for this is why you shouldn't necessarily try and communicate with the dead. You never know what doors you'll open up. This has an exemplary presence in the visual space. Really is exquisite.
that woman called the spirits, and they answered.
You saw what I saw. For once in your life, admit that you are up against something bigger than you.
This is so different in comparison to the other two.
We cannot hide from our ghosts. Whether they are real or not.
I'm all for trying new things. I mean, again, as I said, I don't know. Is there going to be a fourth entry? Or is this a conclusion? Again, maybe. I'm sensing the energy of go out with a bang. And a supernatural horror film mixed with an Agatha Christie novel in tone and visualization on what Kenneth Branagh has imagined. I enjoy these movies, generally speaking. So another opportunity with such freshness, I'm easily game. Though again, I don't prefer the company of a seance and entrance. I can't resist the temptation to watch this cast. Especially Kelly Reilly. I love her so much. I'm really excited to maybe humor this movie. And see, perhaps, if again, it's as equally competent as the previous two entries. I thought Death on the Nile was. Certainly, it was a great reminder to how exquisite the first film happened to be, and what set this train rolling, it seems, an Agatha Christie mainstays and part of Kenneth Branagh's efforts. And 20th Century Studios, to be fair, as well in attribution. I've enjoyed a lot of what I've humored basically over the recent past with their newer pictures, so A Haunting in Venice is something I'm easily open to. For now, we'll see. You know, in terms of, with more time broadened out, I guess, an ad presence, because this is only the teaser trailer. We're getting another trailer at some point eventually. When does this film again release? September 15th. So we've got about, May, June, July, August, 5-6 months, somewhere around that time frame. So, between then, we'll have something, I'm sure, maybe in the next couple of months or so, and I'll easily engage with here again. Maybe to get a broader perspective, but what I'm seeing thus far, again, like I said, on energy, is so different in tone from the previous two entries, and it's more like a horror film. I'm open to it, but I am more a thriller guy, admittedly. I love scary atmosphere type projects, and there have been a couple horror pictures that I've liked, so with that tone meshed to a, I'm sure, competent story, hopefully without much reinvention, we'll see. Again, I felt that was maybe a small grievance point with Death on the Nile, but did prevent it from being perfect, in my opinion. But, or perfect, there are other elements, but still, maybe not necessarily at strengths, but generally, it was a very well-produced movie on casting credits, visualization. Haunting in Venice, I sense the same. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below if you wish to disclose your perspective on it. And how many pictures of these will you humor? I mean, again, I've humored 2 thus far, so a third, 100% I'm in. And I'm actually really excited to watch this one. I mean, it's funny, again, how all these films that are sort of centered around, a horror tone are coming out previous to November. Or not November, October, where they should be debuting for the Halloween season. This would be a great fit, at least on tone from what I'm seeing, but no such luck. Maybe you could wait to watch it a couple of weeks, but until it debuts, or until it's in theaters and October rolls around. But I'm happy to humor it any way I can. I think it looks good. On atmosphere, on promise, I'm very intrigued by Haunting in Venice. Offers something special in energy. something very individual and different in comparison to the previous two, but yet brings back the excellence and methodical envisioning that Kenneth Branagh has charmed me with for a number of pictures, even outside the Agatha Christie adaptations. He's an astute filmmaker on quality, and A Haunting in Venice, on its individual vision and its familiar elements, speak to that quite well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.